You want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
You can't handle the truth!
Well, I'm giving you the Detroit sports truth with your chief host, Taylor the Gator Phillips. Also with co-host Carlos Martinez. We lay down the entire truth about all things Detroit sports up to 3 hours long. If you want to know the Detroit sports truth and chime in on it, the number to call or text message live on the DST podcast on Spreaker is 231-429-3668. Add us on Facebook as Taylor Phillips and Carlos Martinez. Like my Facebook page, Taylor Phillips' Detroit Sports page. Join my Facebook group, Taylor Phillips' Detroit Sports Group. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr at DT2Phillips. And connect with me on LinkedIn, Pinterest, and Google Plus as Taylor Phillips. This podcast is also available on iHeartRadio. And this is the first edition of what we like to call 5 Questions with yours truly, Taylor Phillips. I'm with Steve DeBoss Barnes from Battle Creek.
Yes, sir.
How are we doing tonight?
I'm doing great.
Good. So you've been, how long have you been a Detroit sports fan, and when did you begin to be a fan?
I began being a fan around probably the age of 4 years old. I was born and raised here in Michigan, and I've always been a Lions fan.
Who's your favorite player of all time?
My favorite player of all time has to be Barry Sanders.
Yeah, he used to do his shake moves to make the defenders miss.
Ankles.
Yep, and score, gain a lot of yards, score a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah, he's my favorite player of all time. I mean, he looked good getting negative yards.
Right. How would you describe the state of your team right now, the Detroit Lions?
I believe that we're one of the elite teams in the NFL right now. I think sometimes the only thing we need to draft is a referee. Yeah,
on that picked up pass interference call you made.
Oh yeah, that was freaking horrible. That really pissed me off.
Yeah, it pissed everybody off. Let me tell you, but that was on 3rd and 1. By the way, they only needed 1 yard though.
Correct, I understand that, but that was definitely a pass interference.
Yep.
And,
true.
I mean, that's no different than Tom Brady and exploiting balls.
Yep.
I mean, if that's what it takes to win in the NFL, I guess you got to pay the refs more money.
Guess so. So where do you think your team will end up at the end of this season?
And end of the season, we're going to definitely win in the NFC North. And I believe that we'll have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And I believe this is the year that we go to the Super Bowl and win everything.
Cool.
I see Matthew Stafford throwing for over 5,000 yards. Probably break Peyton Manning's record of touchdowns.
Music to my ears.
Yes, sir.
If you could address your team, what would you say?
If I could address the team, I'll tell them no holds barred. Let's do this. Blow everybody out.
All right. Yep. Blow everybody out. That's the goal. That's one of the best ways to get to the Super Bowl.
Team that could be undefeated.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully so. Hopefully we win the Super Bowl as well.
I think we will. I think we've got the best staff coach in the NFL.
Awesome. Yep. Jim Caldwell. Yep.
Yes.
He's a very disciplining coach.
About time we got one.
Yep. Well, Steve, those are the 5 questions I have asked you. Thank you for your time. Go Lions.
All right, thanks.
Yep. Bye.
Go Lions.
Yep. And that was 5 questions with yours truly, Taylor Phillips. Steve DeBoss Barnes gave us some positive answers, saying that the Lions will win the Super Bowl. Jim Caldwell is the best coach in NFL history. Not in history, but the best coach in the NFL this season, I would assume. He said. Now, Tigers just beat the Royals 2-1 under Matt Boyd, who started tonight. And joining me is my co-host, Carlos Martinez. Carlos,
What's going on? What's going on, Taylor? How are you, my brother?
Really good. So the Tigers won tonight, 2-1. And Matt Boyd pitched excellently. In his debut as a Tiger. Let me see here. Let me get the final line from him as I go to the MLB.com at-bat mobile app. Matt Boyd went 7 innings pitched, gave up 7 hits, only the 1 run. Struck out 2, didn't walk anybody. His major league ERA is 7.90. He proved a lot. He proved a lot better than that. Bruce Rondon pitched a scoreless inning, only gave up 1 hit, struck out 2. Blaine Harney pitched a perfect 2/3 of the top of the 9th inning, and then Alex Wilson picked up the save after he gave up a hit. He still got it done. The bullpen did a great job tonight, and so did Matt Boyd. The scoring summary: Anthony Gose opened the scoring with an RBI triple, scoring Tyler Collins, and in the bottom of the 3rd. And then the Royals tied it back up on an RBI triple by Kendrys Morales in the top of the 4th. And then the Tigers retook the lead 2-1 on Victor Martinez's ground out, scoring Ian Kinsler. Johnny Cueto takes the loss, being in his Royals debut after being traded from the Reds. So, Carlos, you have something to say, don't you?
Yeah, they put together a couple of nice games.
They're on a 3-game winning streak.
Right. They're cute, and if they continue what they're doing, they're going to turn into hot guys, and everybody loves a hot guy. So I'm not, but let's not get too excited. I mean, come on. Are you really? No. You can't get too excited at this point right now.
No, we're retooling for next year. The Tigers are retooling. That's what Dombrowski said before he got fired. We're going to touch on that a bit later on, or soon, rather.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Why don't we get right to it? Why don't we get right to what's going on? What's going on right now is that Dombrowski got let go.
Yep.
So, and Austinus is still sitting in his seat, and people are wondering what's going on with the Tigers. For 5 years, the Tigers brought us Triple Crown winners, Cy Young Award winners. They brought us playoff wins. And they brought us a couple appearances to the World Series. And really that all should be accredited to Dave Dombrowski. Dave Dombrowski basically took the Tigers and turned them into what we all are now so heartbroken over. The fact that they aren't what we were hoping. Now, we never got the payoff. At the end of the day, we never got the payoff with the Tigers. But he was the one that brought us to the heights that we've seen. Right.
Right. The payoff. You mean winning a World Series ring?
Right. And that's ultimately what we were all expecting. I mean, we were knocking at the door for the last 5 years, and we never got the deal. Never got closed with Dombrowski. And I understand. I'll tell you, a lot of people flipped out when the news came down that Dombrowski got shown the door. I understand people flipping out. But if I were Illich, I would have done exactly the same thing.
Yep.
Listen, you cannot have a guy making decisions for your future when he's not part of it. How is he ever going to do anything in the best interest of the Detroit Tigers if he's not going to be part of the Detroit Tigers? Now, believe me, I had a very skeptical eye on these trades that he made, but so far so good as far as these trades are concerned.
Yeah, he got more money in return and better prospects.
And the prospects are panning out. I mean, the prospects now are cute, right?
Daniel Norris.
The last two that we've seen, they've given up 2 hits.
Just 2 hits. Just 2 lousy hits. Daniel Norris did magnificently on Sunday in Baltimore, and then tonight, Matt Boyd, of all people, only gave up the 1 run, and he got a win in a 2-1 game. Nice. And it looked good, too, didn't it? He looked good doing it. Looked beautiful.
He looked good doing it.
Oh, yeah.
So now here we are, and the pitchforks are coming out. I'll tell you what, and you you have this thing with the name, right? Avila.
Yeah,
that's really
Avila,
how you say it. Right.
Yeah. I was yesterday when I tried to turn on all sources of media. I even tried to just for the humor of it. I tried to tune into the Huge show for the final segment before it closed for the day, and then Huge got all angry about the fans only correcting him on the Avila pronunciation with Avila. He said it was Avila, and then the fans needed to be put in a prison, figure of speech. He just kept blocking him. But now tonight, but when I got or today when I got up this afternoon, after I slept in, I kept hearing from the hosts of Detroit Sports 105.1 that they were pronouncing it Avila as well, and then the Team 92.1 FM, the Griffin Grin show, pronounced it Avila, they thought. But now tonight, about an hour or two ago, Dave Hogg on Twitter at Star Eagle tweeted that the Tigers confirmed that both Alex and Al's last name will be pronounced Avila, not Avila, Avila. There was a lot of confusion.
Hold on a minute.
With this fan base.
Let me bottom line this for you, my brother. You do remember that my name is Carlos Martinez, correct?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, yo hablo español perfectamente bien. Yo sé hablar español como cualquier mexicano o hispano o lo que quieras, okay?
Yep.
Just to give you a little taste, this is how you pronounce his name. His name is Avila.
Avila. Yep.
Avila. That's his name. Avila.
That's right.
The correct pronunciation.
It's a Cuban name.
Huge thought it was, or the guy at 105 who thought it was, or whatever. But you know what? I give you props. I give everybody props that they want to pronounce the name correctly. Because I grew up, instead of people calling me Martinez, they call me Martinez.
A little Les Nesman moment there.
Right. Carlos Martinez, I was constantly, no, it's Martinez.
That's something I've never heard before, actually. That's a first.
Right. Martinez. Anyways, getting back, listen, let's get back to Taylor, let's get back to Dave Dombrowski.
Yep.
And so here we are. So let me ask you a question. Do these last 3 wins for you as a Tiger fan, do they erase the sins of Osmus for the season?
No, they do not. Brad Osmus still just sits there and does nothing. He He's just too brain dead to manage any ball club, whether it's the major leagues or the Ivy Leagues. He just sits there and just, I don't know what to do.
So now that we've waved the white flag, right? Now that we've waved the white flag and it's over, who do we bring in as a skipper? In other words, there's a lot of names out there. There's a lot of names out there, but who for you, if you were going to go forward with the Detroit Tigers, who for Taylor Phillips would be the ideal manager for the Detroit Tigers?
I want a manager that knows not only the fundamentals, but the math, the sabermetrics. For example, the whip, the wins above replacement. To be a great manager, you have to know everything, math and fundamentals all together. Don't just lead the team with how to perform. That's not going to cut it. You got to put everything together. And I believe that Manny Acta is the guy that puts the math and the fundamentals and everything else all together. Even though the fans think that he's not any good, he's actually a lot smarter than that.
Okay. So you're telling us that the fans don't think he's any good. Why? What is the downside to this guy? In other words, what is it that the fans don't like about him?
He had a .411 winning percentage with the Cleveland Indians when he managed them, and then he got fired. But see, almost nobody could manage the Indians. Not even Terry Francona after 2007 when Eric Wedge was the manager.
Now I'm hearing Francona's name being bandied about.
Yeah,
but that's not the name that I've been hearing. That's not the name that I've been hearing the most.
Nope.
But I have heard his name bandied about. I've heard a lot of people talk Francona. Go ahead.
Yeah, Terry Francona won two rings in Boston, 04 and 07. Yeah, he's had more experience than Manny Acta. But
So Manny Acta's your guy. I mean, who's your guy? We want to be right. This is the Detroit sports truth, right? Who's your guy? Who's your guy? In your heart of hearts, you get to pick. Who's your guy? Is it Acta? Is it Manny?
As far as I know, Acta was the only one that was mentioned that knows the math, the sabermetrics, and in my thought, the fundamentals as well. Those are the mental aspects of what wins a team, a Major League Baseball team, a World Series ring. It takes a lot of hard work mentally for a manager to lead a team, to lead a struggling team to a World Series championship ring.
And the Tigers, what is their problem? You think their problem is a fundamental problem, or is their problem? Let me ask you a question. Do you think that it's a pretty simple question here? Do you think it's a situation where the talent is coming up short? Because by the time you make it to the majors, you better know how to play baseball,
right?
I mean, is that too much to expect that by the time you make it to the major leagues?
That's not much to ask at all.
Baseball? Oh, okay. So there's the talent issue then. So all we know in baseball is that those that can really play baseball good are talented. Those that can't quite play baseball so good aren't talented. So is it a talent issue for the Detroit Tigers, or is it more of a mental issue? In other words,
it's more of a mental issue because talent's not the issue. It's consistency. The fundamentals and consistency have to blend in together with the talent. The talent is still there with Justin Verlander, Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez, J.D. Martinez, Rajai Davis still running the base pass really fast. Anthony Ghost doing his thing. Jose Iglesias, with a lot of talent defensively at shortstop, he can still hit too.
It's still a nice ball club, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's still a nice ball club. It really
Definitely.
is. I'm with you on that. I mean, as far as going,
the talent is
as
still
you
there.
break it down like that, it's still a very nice ball club.
Yeah.
Again, my question is, so if we know that the talent is there, because I'm still impressed, even after the trade deadline, after you told me all that, I'm still kind of impressed. Just hearing the names roll off your tongue. The only thing that I want to know now is, can we turn this thing into a winner? And you know what worries me? How come they haven't signed J.D. Martinez? Why are you locking him up now?
J.D. Martinez is a heck of a hitter, and he can field out there. He robbed
why haven't they
somebody of a home run.
If you were you know what? If I were the GM, I'd be locking him up. I can't believe they've waited this long.
Yeah.
I haven't even heard that they're thinking about. Well, again, there's a lot of other distractions, so I guess that would be a good reason for me not hearing that they're talking about, locking him up. But I'm still with a curious eye watching J.D. Martinez have the year that he's having, and them not hurrying up, because that was one of Dombrowski's strategies. You know that, don't you?
Yep.
He would wait for you to get on that little bit of a tear, and before your value got too out of hand, he would lock you up, thus making you what I like to call a value. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
He likes to get you a little early on the upswing, so that he locks you up at that number and not really let you, realize your value before the contract is put together. So I'm really skeptical. Not skeptical, but I'm wondering out loud, why haven't the Detroit Tigers signed J.D. Martinez to an extension? I think he deserves it.
Yep, he does.
It's time for them to sign him to an extension.
I think Al Avila should not waste any more time. He should do it right now.
Right now. Well, he's not out of reach, right?
No.
Where he'll be a very good value if you lock him up right now. I would lock him up right now.
Yeah, it's not too late. But you got to do it now.
Very good. What's another thing we wanted to talk about with the Tigers?
Well, before Dombrowski was fired, Max DeMara published an article on sportsmedia101.com headlining, "After shakeups, Detroit Tigers could emerge a better, more galvanized team," at 9:33 a.m. There's still time before the Major League Baseball trade deadline finishes, but Thursday was already a big enough day for the Detroit Tigers. The team dealt away mainstays David Price and Joakim Soria, acquiring 4 prospects, all of which have a chance to impact their minor league system and team both now and down the road. Following the shakeup, there was still a game to be played, with the Tigers taking on the Baltimore Orioles, a team ahead of them in the standings looking to make a wild card push themselves. Early and often, the Tigers proceeded to overwhelm the Orioles with power, putting up 9 runs before Baltimore could gather themselves to formulate a response on the scoreboard. On the mound, Alfredo Simon did enough to collect the win. Though things got hairy for a bullpen that has struggled, Detroit hung on for a 9-8 victory. That was last Thursday, finally winning 2 games in a row for the first time since June. Conventional wisdom says it's time to write the Tigers off, considering they have lost their ace, top closer, and might stand to lose their starting left fielder Yoenis Cespedes, which they already did for 2 more right-handed pitchers.
So we're talking old news, basically.
Yep, Michael Fulmer and Luis Cessa by names.
Yeah.
Rajai Davis could have been on the market by 4 p.m., but the Tigers kept him. That same conventional wisdom also said the Tigers would be major contenders in 2015. But before Dombrowski got fired, he said the Tigers were retooling for 2016. Baseball isn't... Yeah, go ahead.
And they are. I mean, that's the only way you're selling that you're getting rid of Cespedes and you're getting rid of Price.
Yeah, and Soria.
I mean, that's how it works in baseball.
Yep.
At the trade deadline, those that feel that they're in the mix and that they're, going to compete for a pennant, they generally hold on to the players that they have. They might go out and add a couple, right? When you have waved the white flag and you're looking toward next season, you generally will move some players that have value for some things, and apparently that's what has happened, But that's old news. I mean, I get it, but that's old news. Now moving forward, we have 2 games that they won, right? So
we have won 3 games in a row now.
I'm sorry, that's right. My bad. 3 games in a row. They put together a 3-game winning streak. Let me ask you this: did they win the series then with the Royals?
They split two games apiece.
Okay,
the Orioles won Friday's and Saturday's game 8-7 and 6-2, and then the Tigers won 6-1 under Daniel Norris on the mound.
Right, but until we start winning some series, when was the last time we won a series? You know that? Can you tell me the answer to that question? When was the last time the Tigers won a series?
About a month or 2.
Okay. So when the Tigers win the series, get back to me. Then we got something to get excited about.
Yep.
Until then, this is a lot of false hope.
Yep.
That's what this is.
Let's look forward here. According to Detroit.cbslocal.com, Dan Jenkins published an article on that website headlining 5 free agents the Detroit Tigers should target in the upcoming offseason. Here, I'm going to get to them right away. Number 5, Darren O'Day. The Tigers need more reliability from the back end of their bullpen, something they haven't seen since 2011 with Jose Valverde, 49 saves, and Joaquin Benoit, 29 holds. They've had a few good pieces since then, but haven't been able to find any consistency. Darren O'Day has been a lights-out setup man for the O's over the past 4 seasons. The sidearm hurdler has a 0.94 whip, walks and hits per innings pitched. Walks and hits per innings pitched in over 230 innings since coming to Baltimore. The definition of consistency. The Tigers could still get a few good seasons out of the 32-year-old. Number 4, Tyler Clippard. Darren O'Day's stats: 40 games, 140 ERA, 0.931 whip, 11.4 strikeouts per 9 innings, and 8 holds. Number 4, Tyler Clippard. 39 games, 266 ERA, 118 whip, 8.4 strikeouts per 9 innings, and 17 saves. Tyler Clippard had spent most of his career as an 8th-inning master until the Oakland Athletics made him their closer this season, where he tallied 17 saves in 21 chances. The A's traded Clippard to the New York Mets just before the deadline, where he will likely return to the setup role. Clippard has recorded 30 or more holds in a season 3 times, including 40 holds in 2014. Adding Clippard or O'Day or both to the Tigers' putrid bullpen would do nothing but help. With 2 proven yet somehow underrated relief pitchers brought into the bullpen, Tigers fans could go from fearing the late innings to embracing them. Number 3, Mike Leake of the Cincinnati Reds. 21 starts, 3.56 ERA, 1.15 whip, 5.9 strikeouts per 9 innings. Since the end of the 2014 season, the Tigers have lost 3 very important pieces of their starting rotation: Max Scherzer, Rick Porcello, and David Price. Detroit has gone from having one of the most feared rotations to having one of Detroit has gone from having one of the most feared rotations to having one of the outright worst. The starting pitching market after the 2015 season is going to be stacked with ace pitchers, namely Price and Johnny Cueto. However, the Tigers have shown that they are not willing to pay top dollar for starting pitching since signing Justin Verlander to a monster contract extension before the 2013 season. Therefore, Dombrowski now, not Dombrowski, but Al Avila now will likely be looking at second-tier starters. Mike Leake, who was traded from Cincinnati to San Francisco at the deadline, now for the Giants, will likely headline that group. He doesn't strike batters out, 6.2 strikeouts per 9 innings over the past 3 seasons, but he keeps runners off the bases with a 1.23 whip, walks and hits per innings pitched, and has been pitching deeper into games this season, pitching 8 innings or more 7 times. He would complement Verlander and Anibal Sanchez nicely in the Tigers' rotation. Number 2, Yoenis Cespedes. Trying to get him back. 102 games, 293 batting average, 18 homers, 61 RBIs, 829 OPS. In his Mets debut, he drove in 4 runs in his first game as a Met. Tigers fans...
There's some players out there, man.
Yep.
Listen, there's players out there. Here's the bottom line. Now, let me bottom line this one for you. Right now, the way it's looking like Verlander is a weight around the Tigers' neck. If we're at the point now where we can just hope that he gets back to average Verlander, not great Verlander, but average Verlander, and that's really what our hope is. That's really where we stand. If we hope that he gets back to average at $28 million a year, that's a great big albatross wrapped around the neck of the Tigers that's going to hold them back. That's really the truth of the matter. That's the Detroit sports truth right there, my brother.
Yep. Tigers fans want more Yoenis Cespedes. Tigers fans want more Yoenis Cespedes. The 29-year-old Cuban played just over 100 games in Detroit before dealing. The 29-year-old Cuban played just over 100 games in Detroit before being dealt at the deadline to the Mets. However, there have been rumblings that Cespedes and the Tigers could be reunited after the season, even though it. However, there have been rumblings that Cespedes and the Tigers could be reunited after the season, even though the left fielder was traded on Friday. A report surfaced a week before the deadline saying that Cespedes told friends that even if he was traded this season, he would still want to come back to Detroit as a free agent in the offseason. Without Cespedes, the Tigers would have to rely on J.D. Martinez to supply almost all power numbers from the outfield positions unless another player is a positions. Without Cespedes,
another one's acquired.
Unless another player is acquired. Without Cespedes, the Tigers would have to rely on J.D. Martinez to supply almost all power numbers from the outfield positions unless another player is acquired. Number 1, Matt Wieters, the catcher from the Baltimore Orioles. The Tigers need a reliable hitting catcher in the worst way. 36 games, 264 batting average, 4 homers, 14 RBIs, and 735 OPS. And Matt Wieters has a 743 OPS over the first 7 years of his career. The last time a Tigers catcher posted a number that high during an entire season was Alex Avila in 2011, 895. Before that, it was Pudge Rodriguez in 2008, 758. Since Avila's All-Star campaign in 2011, he's compiled a 695 OPS over 3.5 seasons. Ouch.
Oh, man.
Wieters was a top prospect in the Orioles organization, and he played it like Wieters was a top prospect in the Orioles organization, and he played like it from 2010 to 2013, while he batted .249 and averaged 20 home runs and 71 RBIs per season. Wieters, however, would go on to miss time in 2014 and 2015 due to Tommy John surgery. The three-time All-Star and two-time Gold Glove winner is making $8.3 million this season with the Orioles and would no doubt get a raise when he signs as a free agent. The Tigers, in my opinion, the Tigers would have to get all of them except for Mike Leake.
So the Tigers need them all? The Tigers need all of those dudes?
Except for Mike Leake. He has a 3.56 ERA this season. Not good enough for a starting pitcher.
Listen.
Not.
These guys.
Not great, but
these guys
still kind of good.
Listen, the one thing we don't know though, because by living in that world at this point right now, by living in that world, talking about getting all those guys, we're assuming that Mike Ilitch is going to open his wallet and continue to spend.
Yep.
I haven't heard anything on that angle yet.
No, but this is a great article. This is very logical, even though it's from an illogical Detroit sports talk station in 97.1 The Ticket.
Again, isn't it? I mean, we could be. It's very logical. I mean, hell, I'd like
this article is very logic. Yeah, no doubt.
I'll take everybody. Let's sign everyone. I'm for that. I mean, yeah.
Now here's a tough question.
Okay.
If we had to choose like one or two of them, which of these five would be most valuable? Matt Wieters, Yoenis Cespedes, Mike Leake, Tyler Clippard, or Darren O'Day?
Okay, we're going to play general manager on general manager. Which one's the youngest?
The youngest.
The youngest of the bunch. Who's the youngest?
This article doesn't tell us how young they are, actually.
Down, does it? Yeah, I like it. What we need to know who the youngest guy is in the group. And I would have to say it's Cueto. Right?
Yep. Yeah,
Then, if I had to pick one that I wanted, right off the bat, he'd be my number 1A.
Yeah, you can choose another. You can choose a 6 if you want to.
Okay, I'll do 2. We'll say that.
Two?
Say
Yep, 2's fine.
Wallet. He opens up the wallet. And that's opening up the wallet. I mean, you think about this. You're talking about premier free agents, right?
Yep.
That's pretty much the headline. So they're going to set the market. Price is actually going to set the market. Now, our relationship with Price is torn down. But first and foremost, my decision isn't going to be based on talent. My decision is going to be, because everybody's pretty close now, of these guys that we're talking about. My decision is going to be based on age. How much of that talent have I already seen? The catcher kind of scares me a little bit. At 32 years old, that's not really old for a baseball player, but it's still kind of old for a catcher.
Yeah, kind of.
You know what I mean? When you start having to get on your knees every
he's
game,
more like beaten up, injured, Alex Avila.
That's the catcher position. They don't have a long... So in other words, when I ask myself, when I look at the catcher...
Well, my point is... the point is Alex Avila's a lot more beaten up than James McCann. James McCann can really move faster than Alex Avila.
I think McCann right now is playing better than Avila.
Yeah, and even Haloti is playing better than Avila this year.
Right, because we've already established that Avila's pretty much washed up, correct?
Yep, Avila's pretty much done in Detroit. Alex is.
His career is pretty much...
His career, yep.
Listen, the bottom line on that guy is the next concussion, he probably won't ever play another game in his life.
Right.
If it's another concussion, he will not be allowed to play another game in his life.
Do I want to invest in that? Is that the stock?
And is
that
it
I want to invest
and
in?
is it likely?
No.
Is it likely that he'll get another concussion like anytime soon, or maybe later in his career?
Well, no. I mean, at the catcher position, it's very likely. You know how many times is he going to?
Yeah.
Okay, at the catcher position, it's extremely likely he's going to get another concussion.
Yeah.
That's why he has so many to begin. That's why he finds himself in the position that he's found himself. Now, this guy from the Orioles, he's had Tommy John surgery. You know, so he's 32 years old. He's had Tommy John surgery. If I'm going to invest, you know, again, I think that as players, as general managers, I think they look at players as they do the stock market. You know, and really, when a player is paid and a player is acquired, people need to applaud or get excited about, you know, where they find themselves. Now, you can get a guy in his prime. Now, say you get a guy at 28 years old, all right? You're getting a guy at his prime, at his absolute peak. And he'll peak out somewhere at about 32 years old. So that's about where if you're really going to invest and at that point, you're not really investing in a position, you're investing in talent. You know what I'm saying? Now, yes, if you're deficient in a position, is it great to upgrade that with the utmost of talent? Yes. Is it necessary? No. In the game of baseball, it probably is more so in pitching than it is anywhere else. So, again, if it were me, number one, I would have to say I would take Cueto as my number one. I would take the outfielder as my number two.
That outfielder is Jonas Cespedes, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's only because I know what I'm getting. And to be honest with you, I don't think Cespedes' number is as big as everybody makes it out to be. I don't think his number is going to be as big as everybody makes it out to be.
Right.
I think he's getting hyped up now, but I don't think his number is as high as it. And I know what I'm getting.
Yep.
And he's shown desire that he wanted to come back. In fact, Cespedes didn't want to. They say, right, that Cespedes didn't want to go to begin with.
Yep.
So those would be my two acquisitions. If I find myself in a situation where Dombrowski feels like opening up his wallet and allowing me to spend that kind of money.
Now it's Al Avila.
Right. Did I say Dombrowski or did I say Illich?
You said Dombrowski.
I'm sorry. I meant Illich. If Illich is going to open up his wallet and let me spend that money, then that's where I would go. I would go Cespedes, and I would go.
Yep. If I had to answer that question, my own question, out of the two, I would pick. I would pick Tyler Clippard and Matt Wieters, because we need more offense from the catcher's position. If I were to pick three, I would add Jonas Cespedes.
So you would take the catcher's bat over Jonas Cespedes' bat? Am I understanding you right?
I think you're sounding fuzzy there. What are you asking again?
You would take the catcher's bat before you take Cespedes' bat?
Unless McCann and Holiday.
I'm going to ask you the question again. Taylor. Because you got both numbers. This time I'm going to give you a question that you can't answer. What is the batting average of the catcher from the Orioles?
Below 250.
It's 249, right?
249.
Okay. What is the batting average of Cespedes?
Right now it's 293.
Okay. You said you wanted more offense, right?
Yeah. Matt Wieters' batting average is over 250. It's 264.
Okay, it's still lower than 293. Right?
Yep. It is, yep. You got me on that one.
Okay, now hold on. What is McCann's batting average?
Let me look it up. Box. McCann's batting average is 278.
Okay.
So
again now, would you please explain to me why you said that? Why would you take the old catcher? And who else? I don't even know. The other guy that you talked about, I don't even know who that is.
Matt Wieters from the Baltimore Orioles? Yeah.
No, that's the catcher. Who was the other dude? You take Wieters and who?
I would take Tyler Clippard as the closer.
You know, a closer is a very important position. It really, really is.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I felt so bad. That's why I felt so bad about
Joakim Soria before he got traded.
Yeah, that's why I feel kind of, because that's always, the bullpen's been kind of a problem. But really, and I'll tell you what, I don't think a bullpen makes or breaks a baseball team if a manager knows what he's doing.
Yep.
And he has enough arms in the bullpen. But I think a closer makes a difference on a baseball team, whether
Definitely.
they're good or not.
Bingo.
Whether they're good or not.
I nailed that one on the head.
Well, yeah, you did. I mean, we do need it. We do need it. But again, that's the chicken or the egg thing. Would you take starting pitching over a closer situation? Or would you take a closer situation over starting pitching? And again, we can use the small sample size on the outings that these.
To answer your last question, I would take a closer over a starting pitcher because right now we have two. We just added two younger and better starting pitchers in Daniel Norris and Matt Boyd, like they proved tonight.
Well, again, and it's such a small sample size. I mean,
yep.
Can you really definitively make that statement though?
Those small sample sizes could turn out very big in the starting rotation. Keep in mind, they're developed even after just one game, after just one start each. They're developing already in the majors. They're starting to prove themselves why they need to stay in the majors. Norris and Boyd.
Okay. Based on one start. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what
they just need to keep proving it to us.
Exactly. But we can't base these major decisions on free agents based on the sample size of one game for two prospects. Two prospect pitchers. We really can't.
See, the only starting pitching that's listed in this article is Mike Leake, a 3.56 ERA. It's kind of good, not great.
Cueto's a starter. Cueto's an ace.
Oh, Cueto, yeah, yeah. He's not. He's not listed, but you brought him up. That's a great option. Cueto is already signed with the Royals. They needed him to help them win the AL Central.
Yeah, but he didn't sign. I mean, he got traded to the Royals.
The Tigers clearly could have got him.
At the end of the year, he's a free agent. Cueto's at the end of the year is a free agent. He never signed anything long-term with the Royals.
Right. The Tigers can still get him.
Yeah. Cueto's wasn't on that top 5 list that you just read. Cueto was not on that list?
Right. But you brought him up. And that was a very logical idea as a starting pitcher. They can add more than 2 or 3. They can add 4. They can add as many as they want.
Well, again,
the questions I'm asking.
We need to know. Again, we need to know.
The questions I'm asking are just more fun.
I think for the Detroit Tigers or for any Major League Baseball team, the that's competing for a pennant, you need to have 3 true starting pitchers. Now, you really only need 1 ace, and that's been proven, but you need 3 starting pitchers. And what I'm saying at the end of the day is that can we really say Justin Verlander is our ace? Because Justin Verlander is not the Justin Verlander of old. I mean, he is now.
Right. He's given up 1 run in 3 of his last 5 outings. The last outing he gave up 5 runs, took the loss last night against the Kansas City Royals.
Exactly. When was the last time?
But that's because the Kansas City Royals are better. But Verlander didn't do way too shabby.
See, again, this is where I think this is where you're falling into the psychological problem. This is where you're falling into the psychological problem, Taylor. Okay? Because at the beginning of the year, when we were all sitting around prognosticating the baseball season, weren't we saying that the Detroit Tigers were the cream of the crop, that they were the ones with a $173 million roster that was, we called, in fact, my main man, 96.1, Sean Belichian, calls them cute for the last 3 years. He said the Royals were cute.
Oh,
they
man.
Were adorable. That he is sick and tired of reading that every year they'll look out for the Royals. Here comes the Royals. They've been cute, but they are not the Detroit Tigers because they don't have this guy and they don't have that guy and they don't have this guy and they don't have this payroll.
Well, Sean Belichian got one thing right and one thing wrong.
Now you're telling me, wait a minute. Now you're telling me that JV gets bombed for 5 because he was playing the Royals, who are better than the Tigers? You really believe that the Royals are better than the Tigers? I mean, the record, and again, I understand you are what your record says you are. I get that. I understand that. But that's what's so damn frustrating about these Tigers and about this whole situation this year is that we know
they just fell apart this year.
That the Tigers are better than this.
Yes.
The Tigers are better than this.
Yeah, they're better. They just fell apart this year. They're too good to do that with that kind of talent. But that boils down to the manager, like we pointed out.
Right. A lot of it does. But again, at the end of the day, we don't know. Verlander, after the surgery, after the core muscle situation, Verlander has not returned to Verlanderness, or whatever it is you want to call it.
Well, like I mentioned before, he's allowed 1 run in 3 of his last 5 outings. He's only getting warmed up this season after he was cleared.
Okay, and I'll buy that. You're right, absolutely. That's a perfect point. I'll agree with you 100% on that. Really, there's just the sample size is too small to make a blanket statement on that, right? I'll agree with you there. But again, that's a question. That's why I say, for me, we're going to need at least 3 starting pitchers. Right now, I think we have maybe 2.
Cueto is one of them.
Well,
what other 2 starting pitchers would you? What other 2 starting pitchers would you acquire if you were Al Avila? Besides Johnny Cueto, he's one of them. So what are the other 2 you have in mind?
Again, I got to roll with JV, Johnny Cueto, and then I'm hoping that the kid Norris ends up hitting the van. The next Mark the Bird Frigid. A crazy dude that can pitch his ass off. That's my hope at this point. That those would be my 3. Those would be my 3 guys. And then I would let nature take its course and figure out whether Cueto's the ace or Verlander's the ace.
Yep.
But I'm gonna need an ace.
Yep. It depends on who's going to be a free agent.
How deep are we in this class so far, brother?
Right now, Boyd. Well, Matt Boyd was starting tonight in replacement of Alfredo Simon, who had to miss a start due to some kind of slight injury. Which I couldn't remember. Alfredo Simon had some tightness in one of his muscles or something like that. I still couldn't remember, but Matt Boyd.
Some housekeeping. Excuse us fans that are listening to the Detroit Sports Truth. How are we doing on time? What are we at?
Oh, we're on 55 and a half minutes. I was going to mention that according to Garrett Elliott on Twitter, you could follow Garrett. Garrett, let me see here. Garrett, come on, where the heck are ya? At GV Lakers 68. He tweeted, if Al Avila's first move is to make Sam Menzen at S Menzen the director of baseball operations, it would likely mean he believes in math. #Tigers. And I agree with Garrett Elliott right there. The math needs to come. The math mentality needs to come into play inside the front office and in the dugout. They need to put that into perspective. They need to put that in the mix. The Tigers need more smarts in math, and not just the fundamentals.
Right. Yep. We went over this. Yep.
Yeah. And Sam Menzen has a Twitter account as well at S Menzen. I just mentioned that. And Sam Menzen could work together with Al Avila to provide more math by firing Osmus and bringing Manny Acta. That would be key. Wouldn't you think?
That'd be awesome, yeah.
So we're going to try to fit in as much. We're going to try to fit in the Lions as fast as we can.
Nah, we're all set with that. Let's make sure that we thank the listeners for listening.
Oh, damn it!
And listen, thank you guys for listening, taking the time. Make sure that you hit us up on.
I was going to play the Kent Lee Platte interview.
Yeah, if you want to close the show with that, let's just thank everybody for taking the time to listen. Make sure that they hit us up on the Detroit Sports Truth page.
Yep.
Taylor Phillips, you can follow him on Twitter. I'm too old for Twitter. Sorry, folks.
Yeah, follow me at DT2Phillips.
Yep, hit me up, Carlos Martinez on Facebook. Or again, you can just go ahead and leave any message or question you might have on Detroit Sports Truth page on Facebook. We would love to get your feedback. Again, thank you very much. Taylor, make sure that you finish up with whatever tags you need to finish up with.
Yeah, what about the Eric Ebron update? You wanna bring that up real quick?
Yeah, hey, listen, he hasn't dropped any balls. He's been doing really good lately. Everybody always wants to report when he drops the ball in practice and whatnot, so I just want to make sure that on the Detroit Sports Truth, we give Eric Ebron equal time. Eric Ebron has been doing fantastic in camp. He's been making spectacular catches. In fact, on both the first and second days of practice, he had the catch of the day. So I just want to give a big props to Eric Ebron. Thanks for putting in the work, man. We are paying attention. We are watching. We are seeing. And we just want to give you a big go Lions. Keep up the good work. And I'm out, brother.
Yep, and the Lions are our next topic. Thanks, Carlos.
Thank you for the call.
And that was Carlos Martinez, my co-host. I am Taylor Phillips. This is the Detroit Sports Truth, episode 161. We just wrapped up Tigers talk. We talked about how the trades worked out. We talked about the 5 free agents listed by CBS Detroit's Dan Jenkins. We talked about the Avila pronunciations with Al Avila, which is now confirmed. We talked about Dombrowski getting fired and Al Avila hired as the new CEO and head GM. And we just recently touched on Garrett Elliott mentioning that if Avila brings in Sam Menzen as the director of baseball operations, the Tigers would believe in math more than they do right now. So now I'm going to interview Kent Platte right now. I'm going to play the interview with Kent Platte. He's the beat writer for the Lions on SideLion Detroit Jock City. Here you go. Joining me on episode 160 of the Detroit Sports Truth is Lions beat writer Kent Lee Platte of SideLion Detroit Jock City. Kent, how are we doing today?
Pretty good. Living it up.
Me too. The first question I want to ask you is, how do you think the Lions will do heading into training camp, and what is their best position group?
Training camp is exciting for me. I go every year and attend as much as I can. It's a fun time, and I definitely recommend anybody that's within 100 miles of Detroit to give it a try at least once. The Lions' strength last year, as much hype as the defensive line was given, the linebackers was a real strength for the Lions last year. DeAndre Levy is obviously one of the best linebackers in the NFL. Stephen Tulloch got injured early, but before that was considered one of the best middle linebackers in the NFL. And I'm assuming that he's going to come back just as good, if not better, since he doesn't have that knee problem anymore. Tahir Whitehead was a really nice surprise last year. He filled in for Stephen Tulloch when he went down, and he actually rated as one of the higher middle linebackers in the NFL, despite not having any starting experience. And then, of course, we have Kyle Van Noy, drafted in the second round last year, who kind of missed most of the season due to injury. But it's a deep group. We're looking at 3 starters deep, and then at least one more depth player that could step in and take over without any real drop-offs. So it's probably the strongest group the Lions have right now.
Many fans say that Matthew Stafford is not nearly an elite quarterback. He's got a long ways to go. How do you think he should improve to reach that potential?
It was his first time going into a different kind of offense last year with Joe Lombardi's new system that they installed with Jim Caldwell. The previous few years, of course, he was with Jim Schwartz, the head coach, and Scott Linehan as the offensive coordinator. And he had Todd Downing as his quarterback coach, but they didn't really ask him to do much to improve himself. They kind of built around his skill set rather than asking him to change to fit the offense. And that's something that Lombardi did differently last year. He asked Stafford to rein in certain things and try to get better at taking care of the ball, and it worked. He had a higher completion percentage than he's had in years. He had a higher touchdown percentage in the last couple of years, a lower interception percentage than the last couple of years. You saw that improvement, even though it wasn't as grandiose as a lot of the fans would have wanted to see. I think that we see that coming into 2015 as well. I think he's going to continue to improve. I don't know if I'm going to go as far as to say that he's going to be an elite quarterback or some top passer, but he's going to throw for a bunch of yards. His completion percentage should improve at least a little bit from the 60% he had last year. And I think his touchdown percentage goes up slightly and his interception percentage down slightly. I think it's going to be an improvement. I don't think it's going to be a huge improvement, but as long as he's not losing games for the team like he was in 2013 and at times in 2012, I think the team's going to really appreciate what Stafford does for the team.
The Lions recently signed R.J. Stanford to a contract at cornerback. How big of an addition is that to their secondary defense?
Yeah, their secondary is another strength. I told you before that the linebackers were their strongest group, but not far behind that is their defensive back core. You know, they had a great group of starters last year with Darius Slay and Rasheem Mathis, and of course Glover Quinn and James Ahedibo at safety. Their defensive back core is very strong, which is something that Lions fans aren't used to. We're used to having horrible safeties and worse corners. We're sitting right now with two of the better starters in the NFL with Darius Slay and Rasheem Mathis. Nickelback is still the weakest position they have, which is why they brought in somebody like Stanford, who has some experience at that position. Stanford himself has brought in more as insurance, I think, for Nevin Lawson, who's still coming back from that awful dislocated toe injury that he got. I know it doesn't sound like a terrible injury, but it's one of those ones where we don't really have a timetable because people don't usually have that kind of injury. You know, we lost Bill Bentley and they cut him because he hasn't healed from his ACL injury, and Nevin Lawson said that he's 100%, but we still haven't seen him running around and playing nickel. But we have Quandre Diggs, who's been a nice, pleasant surprise at nickel during camp, and Stanford is coming in with that in mind. He's going to be another vet option should Nevin Lawson not be able to go during camp.
And speaking of injuries, with running back Joique Bell, offensive tackle Adrian Waddle, and defensive lineman Jason Jones put on the physically unable to perform list, how can the Lions do to win games, and how do you estimate the timetable of each of those three missing players?
You know, Jason Jones had his first healthy season in his entire NFL career last season, and it's the first time that he's played 16 games all year. So that was kind of more of the out-of-the-norm situation than having to deal with injuries during the year. Joique Bell has dealt with injuries the last few seasons. He's been pretty awful out the gate at the beginning of the season. He ran for only 3.2 yards per carry in the first 6 games of 2013 and 2014. He played a lot better down the stretch and was able to get healthy and rush for a good amount, but he still only finished the season at 3.9 yards per carry both seasons. So it's a hurt that they're going to lose Bell for a period of time. I don't think that his is going to be a lasting injury. I think that he comes back before the regular season starts. Adrian Waddle probably won't. I see him starting on the PUP list and probably missing at least 6 games. Jason Jones, I don't really know what his injury is, so I can't speak to it, but I think the team is probably better off with him missing some time during the preseason because they get to take a look at the younger guys in Larry Webster and Devin Taylor. You know, get those guys on the field and see what they can really do, and hopefully take over that position from Jones before he comes back.
On the positive side here, with the draft picks of Amir Abdullah at running back, Laken Tomlinson at offensive line or offensive tackle, Quandre Diggs at cornerback, and Alex Carter added to the team, how do you think they will help?
You know, they definitely dedicated themselves to the running game with this draft. They drafted Laken Tomlinson in the first round out of Duke. He was the best guard coming out of this draft that was playing straight at guard. You have, of course, Amir Abdullah in the second round, so there's your first round and your second round pick, definitely playing for the run game. Amir Abdullah didn't really excite me as much as some of the other guys that were coming out of the draft. I know there's some people that I trust very much with their draft opinions, and they really liked Abdullah, but I wasn't as high on him. He has some ball control issues that he's going to have to continue to work out. So what really got me excited about Abdullah was their 5th round pick was Michael Burton. He's a fullback, and you don't usually draft fullbacks unless they're really good, and Michael Burton is really good. What he brings to the table is he's going to be able to create that crease, and the type of running back that Amir Abdullah is, that's all he needs. He just needs a little bit of a crease that he can get into open space and get that 10, 15, 20 yards at a time. You know, he's considered a home run threat because he's kind of a faster, quicker back, but he doesn't really have that long speed. I saw him getting ran down a lot during his times in college, but I'm not concerned about that. The team is dedicated to getting big chunks of yardage, and Abdullah will be able to do that, especially with Laken Tomlinson and Larry Warford leading the way, and Michael Burton giving him those little creases.
Now give us your prediction. Explain what record they will finish with in the regular season and how they will do in the playoffs.
Yeah, you ran right to the playoffs because that's where they should end up. I don't see any losses on their schedule, and that's not saying that they're going to go 16-0. Just that I don't see any game that on the team's the team's schedule that I say, yeah, they're going to lose that game. Yeah, they play a lot of really tough teams. Of course, we play Green Bay twice. We still haven't won in Green Bay since forever.
1991.
Right? We play against Seattle. We play against the Cardinals, who for some reason we've never been able to beat. We play a lot of really good teams, but none of those games really jump out to me and say this team is going to lose. You're gonna lose to this team. There's no way that you can win. It's a welcome change because that hasn't been the case in the past few seasons. But I think that we're going to come out and the Lions are going to win more games than they lose. I think they win 5 or 4 games out of their division. They might lose 1 to Green Bay. They might lose another to Minnesota in Minnesota. I don't see them losing to the Bears. Right there, you're looking at 4 or 5 wins, and you're starting off pretty well for your season. And I think that they're going to end up somewhere between 10 and 12 wins, and either getting that home field advantage, depending on how the Packers do, or they're going to end up getting the wild card. And I think that this is the year that they get that first playoff win that they haven't had since, again, way back in the day when Barry was running around. I think this is the year that they're at least going to get that. I don't know if this is the year that they're going to make a big push, but I think this is the year that they finally make some postseason noise.
What's your record prediction?
Between 10 and 12 wins.
All right. Kent Lee Platte, SideLion, Detroit, Jock City, we thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
And that was Kent Lee Platte of the SideLion. That was Kent Lee Platte of the SideLion, Detroit, Jock City, the beat writer. And if any of you have any opinions on Detroit sports, including the Tigers and the Lions, please call in or text message at 231-429-3668. I'm trying to get Brian Eimers on the telephone line. I have changed this from a 1-hour show to an extended. I'm extending this show in terms of time here. We got to talk about Lions here. Hey, Brian.
Hey.
So we just talked about the Tigers firing their general manager Dave Dombrowski, hiring Al Avila, and the Avila pronunciations confirmed as Al Avila and Alex Avila, according to Dave Hogg on Twitter at Star Eagle. The 5 free agents the Tigers need to pursue. I don't know if you missed that or not, but in case...
I always listen, dude.
Oh, good. Are you listening tonight?
No, I was talking to some friends.
Oh, okay. But
yeah.
So you almost always. But anyway, I'm gonna message you the link. I'll let you take a look at it.
Okay.
To the five free agents that the Detroit Tigers should target in the offseason. Here you go. So we got Darren O'Day, Tyler as a reliever, Tyler Clippard as a closing pitcher, Mike Leake as a starting pitcher, Jonas Cespedes as a returning player in the outfield, and Matt Wieters as a catcher. Carlos Martinez, I allowed my co-host Carlos Martinez to choose a sixth player of his choice, Johnny Cueto. He's a free agent after this season.
This year?
Yep.
Yeah.
The Tigers can still get him. And as you read this article, just skim it over. Don't read it too slowly. But the stats are there below each picture. And
I hope he gets Cespedes back.
Yep. Tigers can get as many players as they want in the offseason. So I asked him a tough question. Out of the 5, if you were to choose one to two of those 5 players, who would you pick?
If I was Al Avila, I would definitely go for Mike Leake, so we can have that 5th or 4th or whatever, and then definitely bring back Cespedes.
Leake's a tough choice. He's got a 3.56
ERA. Yeah, true.
Yeah, if I were you, I would pick Johnny Cueto.
Cueto.
He's better.
He's
better than Leake. He's a starting pitcher.
Yep. We need one of them.
Yep. We also need bullpen help.
Yeah, Darren O'Day, I like him.
Yeah. Yeah, we need...
From the O's?
Yeah, Darren O'Day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Tigers need him in the back end of their bullpen. Bruce Rondon had been struggling until lately, but I feel the Tigers needed yet another reliever. Alex Wilson has done just fine as a closer.
Yeah, I like him as our closer now that we got rid of Soria.
Yeah. Yeah, Soria used to be Soria earlier in the season was pitching 1, 2, 3 innings to get saves. Now, and then he blew 4 saves.
Yeah, that one against the Cincinnati Reds when he gave up that game-winning grand slam.
Yeah, Soria?
Yeah, Soria.
Yep. Man. Yep. It was tied in extra innings.
Yep, like the bottom of the 13th.
Yep, that just came back to me.
Yeah. That's the one I remember.
Yeah, also that one blown save in Minnesota where the Tigers were
against the Twins.
Yeah, that was most devastating.
That up 6-0. JV had a good game going.
Yeah.
And I guess Dozier just had to get that spark with that check swing single up the middle to score a run.
I guess so.
Yeah.
But Dan Jenkins selected Tyler Clippard from the New York Mets as another option at closer if in case Alex Wilson doesn't prove himself enough. But
is Alex Wilson a free agent after this year or no?
I think Alex Wilson should be the closer.
I do too, yeah.
I would think that Darren O'Day should be the 8th inning setup man.
Yeah, because Feliz didn't work out.
Nope. Mm-mm. Yeah, he was on the trading market, the trading block before the trading deadline. He was one of those 8 players.
Yes, he was.
Okay, now let's get to the Lions now.
All right.
The interview with Kent Lee Platte about what's to come for the 2015 Detroit Lions squad. I think you missed that too, but I think the Lions will improve after they got rid of Sue Fairley and Dominic Raiola. They got Haloti Ngata, who was just put on the non-football injury list. but he can only miss a week. I think it was a hamstring pull.
Yeah, me too. Hamstring.
Yeah, but it's not that serious. Haloti Ngata will still keep going. Also, Kent Lee Platte and I talked about if Stafford could or how Stafford could improve and how the additions and the draft picks could help the team, including Lance Moore, Amir Abdullah, Quandre Diggs, Lincoln Tomlinson, Manny Ramirez, welcoming him back.
Yeah,
Tyron Walker. Yep.
Lance Moore was a good pickup.
And speaking of pickups, the Lions yesterday just claimed defensive tackle Jerel Worthy off waivers from the Green Bay Packers. Jerel Worthy's a beast.
Did he play for MSU?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he's a tank.
Yep, he sure is. Sorry, Carlos Martinez. I still wanted to get all these Lions notes off my chest. But also today they have signed linebacker DeAndre Levy to a 4-year contract extension, and Carlos Martinez already gave us the Eric Ebron update. He's been catching more balls as of late in this year's training camp. Just keep it up, Eric Ebron, please. That's all we ask.
He needs to. We need a big year from him.
So what are your predictions for 2015?
I see the Lions going 11-5.
Again, are they going to beat the Packers at Lambeau Field for the first time since 1991?
I really hope so. I really do think they will.
All right. Well, are they going to get into the playoffs?
Yes, they will get into the playoffs.
And how far will they go?
If they can get past the second round, I think they can get to that Super Bowl 50.
Oh, you mean the second round, as in the NFC divisional playoff, or the NFC championship game?
Yeah, the division game. If they can beat whoever they play in the division game, and then they can take the championship game or the Super Bowl 50, I think they can get to Super Bowl 50.
Are they going to win the Super Bowl? That's a tough question. I'm hitting it on the head.
Yeah, you are. Yes, I think they will.
Oh, man.
I really want them to, but that's a tough question. You got to get there first.
Yeah, you also have to play an elite team like the New England Patriots.
Like the Patriots, yup.
Yeah, or the San Diego Chargers, for example.
Huge AFC teams out there.
Yeah, Peyton Manning is staying for the Denver Broncos, I think. Yep.
Yes, he is.
Yep. The Denver Broncos reached a Super Bowl. They lost badly to the Seattle Seahawks. If I were the Detroit Lions, I would want the Denver Broncos to face the Denver Broncos in the Super Bowl.
I would too.
As a Lions fan.
That's who I had them facing last year, but that didn't work out.
Yep, that's pretty much all we've covered, Brian. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, no problem.
Yep.
Thank you for the call.
And that concludes the Detroit Sports Truth episode 161. Lots of Tigers and Lions talk, August 5th, 2015. It is now August 6th, at 12:21 a.m. Eastern. I'm Taylor Phillips, signing off.
Bon appetit.